Hi, these comments are for SK. This is Michael from bettertoeflscores.com. Let's take a look at the email that you sent me. You say, hi Michael, please read, evaluate, score my independent writing practice test. Let me know which areas I need to improve on in order to score higher on the TOEFL writing section. Also, I wanted to ask if I'm still allowed to ask for an integrated writing practice test evaluation, even though I've sent in an independent one already. Thank you and stay safe. The answer to that second question is no. I do one writing practice test for free, and that's what this is. And so you're attending a pre-university, a high school in Singapore, and my goodness, if I've heard a lot of things about Singapore and the educational system there, and you have confirmed everything that I thought about Singapore. They have an excellent education program. Your writing is really very college level and very strong. And as far as I can tell, you're not even in college yet. You're not even in the university yet. So let's take a look at what you wrote now. Okay, so I think I have it right here. Okay, so I looked at it. So you have 400 words. You spent 29 minutes and 8 seconds. You did all of this in 30 minutes. The question is, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Teachers should be paid according to how much their students learn. Give specific reasons and examples to support your opinion. Okay, so that's the actual topic, right? So let's take a look at the first paragraph. Most people in the world are given academic education in school settings. A lot of students who go to schools tend to complain about the quality of education provided by teachers in schools. Due to this, many believe that teachers should be paid in accordance to how much an individual learns. However, I disagree with that notion, even though I am a student myself going through secondary education, right? And then you have your two-body paragraph. So if you say firstly here, I would also say secondly right there to keep both of those transition words parallel. Okay, paragraph 2. While teachers play a large role in making students learn, they are not the sole variable that affects an individual's learning. An individual's ability to retain information is also based on their own discipline and motivation. Even if an educator teaches to their best ability, there is still a high possibility that certain students will not learn much. Now, I think you can get away with this nowadays in academic writing. So you have an educator, which is singular. Then you have this possessive kind of word here that's plural. You have, and I think it's accepted now that you can actually do that. You have another one. You have individual and individual here. Then you have their ability there, which is actually plural. If you want to be exactly standard, it will be an individual's ability to retain information is also based on his or her own discipline and motivation. Or you can say individuals' abilities to retain information is based on their own discipline and motivation. So you might make educators plural or individuals plural, but I don't think it's a major problem. Let me keep going. For instance, in my batch alone, there are around 35 pupils who take mathematics. The mathematics teacher for these pupils is the same person. However, even though the teacher is the same, the students all show varying degrees of understanding and exam scores. They also show a different amount of effort to study the mathematical concepts we learn. This example demonstrates the importance of student motivation and discipline in learning. Just because a good educator teaches a student, it does not mean that the student will retain the knowledge. Okay, so I think that's very well supported. I like the example you used. Excuse me. Let's go to the next paragraph. Secondly, while learning may be quantifiable through examination scores, this is not always the most accurate measure of learning capability. It is possible that a student perfectly understands the lesson but does substandardly on a particular test. This may be due to illness, mental stress, or due to external confounding variables during the test proper. For example, when I was reviewing with my friends for an upcoming summative assessment, good vocabulary right there, she was able to demonstrate full understanding of what we had learned in class. However, whilst taking the test, she had encountered difficulty focusing on the exam. This was caused by one of my other classmates who was fidgeting throughout the exam. She received a lower score than she had expected. This outlines a difficulty to gauge a student's learning. So again, you have a well-supported, you have an example that really supports what you're trying to argue in that paragraph. Then you have the conclusion. For the reasons that learning partially depends on a student's discipline and motivation. Now that's a problem. For the reasons that learning depends on. Yeah, that's actually a fragment right there, so be careful with that. You should revise that. In addition to the fact that learning is difficult to gauge with only test scores alone. Yeah, I think after this one, after alone, you want to put a comma, not a period there. I believe that students should not be paid accordingly to how much a student learns. So, and that's it. It's in the conclusion. That's where you had the major sentence structure errors there. So you had what we call two fragments, right? You had the fragments beginning with for the reasons that here. Then in addition to, you should have put a comma here and not that period, and that would have straightened out that issue. Okay, so now let's do one more thing. I had Microsoft Word take a look at it. I copied and pasted this into Microsoft Word. I'm going to show you something here. So you have an editor's score here, you can see of 92%. Anything between 90 and 100 is actually strong. And notice how it gave you 92%, but it did not find the errors that I found. So that tells you that these programs are not 100% accurate. You probably already know that. Now the most important thing I wanted to take a look at is under document stats. And I want you to pay attention to this because I think this shows me some things you can do to improve your writing. And I had the suspicion you're having some minor issues with sentence style. And this confirms it. So your actual words per sentence here, right, is 16. Now the characters per word here is 5. Now 5 is actually strong. That's good. That means the average word that you have has at least 5 letters or 5 characters. Now the grade level here is actually 10.1. But you're already in high school, so I guess it matches where you are right now. I think you're in secondary school. You're writing at grade level 10, but that's not really where you want to be with the TOEFL. I recommend that you try to get closer to maybe 13 to 15 grade level. There's only one way to do that, by the way. You know, the 16, this one, you're going to have to improve your sentence length from about 16 to 25, right? If you do that, that's going to bring this grade level closer to what we see down here. That's what will happen. So you have some short, choppy sentences. You can combine sentences a little bit better than what you did. I think that'll definitely help you to improve your TOEFL score. But what is your TOEFL score? That's what I want to look at right now. Give me a quick second. I'm going to go over to, let me see, I'm going to go over to the actual rubrics here. Okay, right here. And I think you're in pretty good shape here. I really do. You're not 30, I was thinking maybe I got to the last paragraph and then I looked at your sentence style and your sentence length. I'm thinking maybe not quite there. So let me take a look at a couple of things here. Give me a second. See if I can show you a couple of things here. Okay, let's look at if you're a 5 or a 4. Effectively addresses the task. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, you did that. It's well organized and well developed, using clearly appropriate examples, explanations, exemplifications, and/or details. I think you're pretty good there. Displays unity, progression, and coherence. Yes. My only recommendation here might be is make the introduction a little bit longer and try to include a more specific thesis. And I think if you do that, I think it'll help you, especially when it comes to the well-organized and the well-developed thing, and it also helps you with the coherence if you have a more specifically framed thesis. And then the next one displays consistent facility in the use of language, demonstrating syntactic variety, appropriate word choice, and idiomasticity, though it may have minor lexical or grammatical errors. The two problems in the final paragraph were not considered minor. You didn't have complete sentences there, so you had two fragments. So I'm going to say maybe here in the 4, you may have occasional noticeable minor errors in structure, word form, or use of idiomatic language that do not interfere with meaning. So I think maybe that might be one thing that might hold you back in the 4 category, but everything else is in the 5 category. So, and I don't know exactly how the TOEFL reaches these scores, by the way, but based on my experience of working with a lot of students, and they go through my courses and then they take the TOEFL exam, I think that you're probably around 28 to 30 points. Probably not 30. Let's say 28, maybe 29. I think you have a good shot of getting 30. And those are my recommendations there. So how does it feel to write like that? Wow. Good for you. So if you have any other questions, there is a writing course you might be interested in. I don't recommend this for everybody because it's not appropriate for all students. I have a TOEFL Writing Bootcamp course. And I think with relatively minimal effort, I believe I can help you get 30 points on the writing section. I can make sure you get 30 points. So if you're interested in my TOEFL Writing Bootcamp course, go over to onlinetoeflcourse.com and just scroll down the web page there and you will find that course and you can learn more about it. I have several different courses on that page, by the way, but I think based on your situation here, the Writing Bootcamp course will be a good fit for you. And thank you for completing this practice test.